Hey there, friends and enemies, Jopa here again, and we are just a couple days out from the pre-release of Lorwyn Eclipsed, and I want to go over the 5 rare cards I most want to add to my collection. And some of these are going to be fairly obvious because they are the most sought after cards, but others might be a little surprising. I also will do a separate video, not only for the mythics, but also the 5 commanders I want to build from this set as well. I think that could be a fun little thought idea of which cards I think are going to make the best commanders. So I won't necessarily include those in this video, besides one that I think will be the commander I most want to build, just as like a for fun type of thing. Anyway, when I'm doing these videos, keep in mind I'm not just pure power scaling. I mostly play commander and some draft, so I'm looking for cards that are either versatile or really good in one or the other. And yeah, let's just jump right into it with the most expensive card in the set at pre-release, and a card that everyone would, I believe, confirm is going to be good, even if it's not broken, but it might be broken. We'll see. This obviously, so if you can't see it, $58 for the showcase version of the Hexing Squelcher. This is a 1 colorless and a red for a goblin sorcerer. That's a 2/2. This spell can't be countered. Ward, pay 2 life. Spells you control can't be countered. Other creatures you control have ward, pay 2 life. That is insane text for a 2 mana creature. It is actually insane how good this could be, and will fit in so many different decks. Unlike a lot of the other goblins, it's not really going to be exclusive to tribals. It can fit in any deck that has red that you're looking to add all these different options, and this is no brainer. If you're able to pull this card, hold on to it or flip it if you want to try to get some money while it's at its peak. But yeah, this is definitely going to be one that is going to be incredibly useful. Not only that, but if you get more than one during your draft of Lorwyn Eclipsed, if you're playing the pre-release events, you might run away with the game by having a bunch of these different options. And it's just a really, really powerful card that I think everyone would probably tell you is going to be the most sought after, especially at launch. Now, this may change. Maybe there's some certain combinations that go crazy later on down the line, but for now, this is the #1 option, so I just had to talk about it. Up next, though, is another card that I think is going to be very good, but maybe flying under the radar a little bit at this point, Collective Inferno. For 2 red and 3 colorless, it's an enchantment that has Convoke. So your creatures can help cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1. Now, I think the Convoke really helps, especially if you're running something like a tribal deck or something with a lot of small creatures, or at least the ability to tap these creatures early on to get this on the battlefield. But the reason this would work really well in a tribal deck is as this enchantment enters, choose a creature type. Double all damage that sources you control of the chosen type would deal. So, for example, in my Tiamat Dragons deck, all my dragons would deal double damage, which is kind of insane. But it doesn't just stop at that. If you're running a goblin deck, if you're running anything with red in it that has tribal elements. If you have from this set a lot of the changelings that are all creature types, this could be really, really huge. There's also, I made a wizard deck with a black-red wizard deck with a Kuja from Final Fantasy. And this is another one. Pretty much every creature in that one has the wizard type. And so I would be able to use this and deal a ton of damage all the time. So lots of different options there. That's why I like this card. I don't think it'll be as good in draft, especially being for 5 mana, although you could use Convoke with that as well. But overall, I just think this is one of those cards that I'm really excited to try out and to toss in a variety of different decks, which is one thing that I think is underrated about certain cards. Some cards are specifically tailored towards a set number of decks, while others are a lot more versatile. Up next is going to be Sapling Nursery. This is a very expensive card on the surface for 6 colorless and 2 green. It's an enchantment that has affinity for force. So mono green, automatically you're going to want to look at this one because the spell costs 1 less for each forest you control. Control 6 forests, and all of a sudden it costs just 2. It has landfall, so obviously you're going to want to toss this into a landfall deck as well, especially a green, even in green-blue landfall deck. If you're able to have 3 forests on the field, now all of a sudden this is a very relatively inexpensive card. So for the landfall, whenever a land you control enters, create a 3/4 green treefold creature token with reach. So that's already nice. Having reach is always a very nice option. And then it has the colorless and a green ability to exile this enchantment. Treefolk and forest you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So if you're building specifically maybe like a treefolk deck, this could be insane. But even without that, a landfall deck, a mono green deck, there's a lot of reasons to like this card that don't necessarily have to just be like synergistic with what it does right now. Like, it doesn't just have to be insane in certain decks. It could be really, really good for a lot of different green decks, especially if you're able to run enough mana in order to cast this relatively cheaply. And green, the nice thing about that is there's a lot of ways to get forests on the field very, very easily. Up next is the one commander that I wanted to point out just because I want to talk about it a little bit more. One, I love the artwork on this. All the showcase art is really, really good in my opinion, but I also really enjoyed this one just looking at it. So this is a Doran Besieged by Time. For a colorless, a white, a black, and a green, it's a 0/5 legendary creature, treefolk druid. Each creature you control, each creature spell you cast with toughness greater than power costs 1 less to cast. That's already very nice. Whenever a creature you control attacks or blocks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the difference between its power and toughness. So, we've seen some other cards. I mentioned them in a past video that there are some cards that really benefit high toughness creatures. I've talked about like Arcades and stuff like that, having decks built around that. This would be a much different way to build because you don't necessarily want a bunch of creatures with Defender. You could run like the Walls of Bossing Say as like the ultimate defender, because now all of a sudden it can do, its power is equal to that +X/+X, and so it can do a ton of damage. You could utilize that in order to do a bunch of damage based upon its power. There's a lot of little different tricks there. But I like this commander because it incorporates a lot of creatures that I think otherwise could be overlooked. 2/5s, maybe even something like a 1/6 creature, 1/5, like creatures that just don't get a lot of love and maybe aren't all that strong on their own, but could be incorporated into this deck. And that's why I wanted to highlight this. This is one of those cards that I don't think it's going to be the most powerful commander, but I do think it would be one that would be incredibly fun to build around if you are able to kind of manage things and put them in the right position. So I do think this is one of those that I am personally going to look to build, but again, it's not going to be for everyone. I just don't have a deck that really, like, I was starting to build an Arcades deck, but I might go in this direction instead, even though they're different color combinations. Up next, and the last but not least, is going to be the Formidable Speaker. This is another really sought after card that I think a lot of people know is going to be pretty good. For 2 colorless and a green, it's a 2/4 elf druid. When this creature enters, you may discard a card. If you do, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. That's already really nice, right? So you can, if you can blink this at all and have it re-enter the battlefield, you can essentially guarantee that you get the creatures that you want for any kind of combination you want in your deck. This is really good for an elf tribal deck, but any green deck can really take advantage of it. Then you've got the 1 mana and tap ability to untap another target permanent. This is obviously very nice if you are able to attack with a creature and then use it for defense after it's already attacked, so you still have it available, or you can use it for an ability that it taps and you can repeat the process. So essentially, if you have a creature that can use a tapping ability, you can use it twice per turn with this combination. And I think that could really build into a lot of synergies that work really, really well. Now, again, maybe it won't necessarily be the strongest option, but it will be one that provides a lot of interesting combinations potentially that could make it very, very strong. Now, whether this is going to ultimately be as great as I think people are speculating right now, that remains to be seen. But for me, I think it's definitely a card that I can fit into several decks. And even for a draft, this is one that I think is going to be huge. Because obviously, early on, you'll be able to find the exact creature. Like if you're in a draft format, you have a smaller deck, you're going to be wanting to get the table turning cards, the cards that are going to turn the tide of battle as quickly as possible. And this will essentially guarantee that you're able to get it in your hand relatively quickly. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Which of these cards are you most interested in picking up? Are there any of them that you are not so sure about? And are there any other rares that I might have missed that you think deserve to be on this list? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video as always. Comment, subscribe, have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.